Running Wild with Christine, Sex, Success, and Other Slippery Rabbit Holes. Episode 15, The One About Life with Paulie. Welcome back to another episode of Running Wild with Christine. Today I'm here with Paulie, a friend of mine whom I met in Antibes. So if you're familiar with the book, this is part 3. This is all the messy fucked up shit we did towards the end to get better. Paulie is a chef on a yacht. He's done a bunch of random shit, which we're going to discuss. So hi, Paulie, how are you?
Yeah, very good, thank you.
Thanks for coming. Paulie's traveled all the way from Toulon to Geneva to come and hang out with me before I head off. Do we want to go back to how we met?
go back to the days in Antibes and the drunken nights.
Yeah, I actually asked Paulie yesterday how we met because I didn't remember. And so as it happens, we met in Antibes through a friend of mine. She's actually, if you read the book, the girl that helps me find the Halloween church lady. So she introduced us one night at a bar in Antibes. And basically the rest is history.
Just a few drunken nights.
Oh my God.
And then, I came back from 2 months away in Italy.
Yeah.
Came and met you for lunch, rosé lunch.
And by lunch, he means 7 bottles of rosé for 4 of us. And how many Jaeger bombs?
Yeah. Oh, we don't serve Jaeger bombs. Yeah, you do.
Yeah, I think that restaurant misses us and our compulsive drinking at lunchtime.
Yeah, there's something about dropping your trousers at 3 o'clock in the afternoon to show everyone your tattoo in the middle of a restaurant.
Oh my God, I forgot you did that. Paulie has a wonderful tattoo on his ass that he decided to show us. What's on your ass?
I have a tattoo of the Lion King's Pumbaa. He's like a super Pumbaa with a spoon and a spatula and a beer in his hand, which kind of represents my life, really.
Yeah, it does, especially with the cape, I think.
Yeah.
And then basically we were friends for those few drunken nights and spent a bit of the winter together.
Yeah, we a few months in Antibes, and then I worked in Poland for a couple of months.
Yeah.
The boss's house told the Polish president that in Polish, I said, Ogolię moje jaja ze zobaczy, which is Polish for I shave my balls. Would you like to see? The president enjoyed that one. And then I flew back from Poland, went to Berlin on a bit of a piss up with my mate Chris.
No, but wait, the story starts before this. I call Paulie, who's bored out of his mind in Poland, and I'm like, hey, what are you doing? He's like, nothing. What are you doing? I'm like, I'm in Belgrade. I'm bored. Let's hang out.
So I was like, yeah, Christine, I'm going to come out and see you.
Oh my gosh.
So I flew from Berlin. I flew in on a one-way ticket. The chap on passport control, he says to me, oh, you only have a one-way ticket? I said, yeah, sorry, but I thought this was part of Europe. He says, where are you staying? I said, I don't know, my friend's the other side. He said, how long are you staying for? I said, I don't know. He stamped my passport and said, boom, you leave when you have a wife. I was like, fantastic.
And the happenstance would have it that it was Valentine's Day on our trip.
We did.
So Paulie came to see me in Belgrade on the most romantic week in February. This beautiful days in Belgrade, balmy winter. And we didn't find a wife for you.
No.
But we did go on a honeymoon.
We did. Just taking it back to after our Valentine's meal, Christine took me to a gay bar after dinner. You know, all these beautiful ladies in Belgrade, and she goes to the bathroom, and I start getting touched up by 4 dudes.
For the record, it wasn't a gay bar, because those don't exist really in Belgrade. But I guess you just were very lucky that night. Whatever. I mean, appreciate being hit on. We get told that all the time as women. It's a compliment. And then what did we decide to do? We were like, let's go see a bit of the country.
Yeah.
So I took him to Emir Kusturica, who is a world-renowned movie director, made this like ethno village, middle of bumfuck nowhere, Serbia, on the border with Bosnia. And
Yeah.
so we decided we would rent a car and drive for 3 hours?
3 hours on the best roads.
What do you mean? Those were lovely roads. Down to this, basically like a sort of, what would you call it? Like mountain resort.
Yeah, it was a beautiful spot actually.
It's gorgeous. It's basically made with houses that, were the original houses in that part of Serbia, like many, many, many moons ago. And they've built a cinema and some traditional restaurants, and there's an indoor pool with sauna and blah, blah, blah. And I think it was like some kind of vacation, like holidays in Serbia, because there were lots of kids there. But Paulie and I, for some reason, managed to be completely on the opposite schedule of everyone. So whenever the kids were napping and there was no one there, we had the pool to ourselves.
Yeah.
And then
Cinema to ourselves.
Oh my God, should we tell this story?
Bottle of wine in the cinema. We're going there. Okay.
We went for dinner.
We did.
The one night we were there. And we asked the reception if they could, because they have a cinema and you can watch any movies of Kusturica's in there, but no one else was scheduled that night. So they were like, oh, we'll basically play any movie you want at any time you want. So we were like, well, what's the latest? Like, well, we finish at 11, so we'll just put it on at 8:30. So we had a bit of an early dinner. And on our second bottle of wine we hadn't quite finished, we were like, well, can we bring it with us into the movies? And they were like, yeah, sure, no worries. So we get into the theater.
And then as the lady's setting up the movie, and there's just me and Christine just sat in the middle of the cinema, she just turns, looks at me and says, well, get it out then.
I think I even said, whip it out.
Oh, whip it out, yeah, that might have been correct, yeah. And then the poor lady who was setting the movie up looked at her, I was like, the wine. She's talking about the wine.
I was like, oh, come on, like, how dare you put like an innuendo in what I say. But basically we had like such a good trip.
Yeah.
And I should probably actually tag this somewhere in this podcast, or maybe that's what I'll put on Instagram is our Carpool Karaoke videos.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that was a beautiful drive. The sun was shining. The tunes were playing.
I think I have video footage of Paulie singing the Spice Girls with me in the car.
Yeah. And Natalie Imbruglia.
Yes.
And
Oh my God. So basically that's like when things escalated in our friendship.
yeah.
Paulie, well, do you want to like retrace back a little bit why we were both in Serbia talking about writing? We need to know a bit more what you've done in your life, because that's a fascinating one.
Yeah, well, yeah, I mean, I've been a chef 18 years now. But in 2007, I was part of a TV programme on BBC Two called An Island Parish. Mm-hmm. And I was on that Friday night, 8:30, hotspot, on the opening credits. The producer loved me.
Check out his very young face on that. It's brilliant.
And as a part of the series, I wrote a book. And so my book got published in 2008. It's called An Island Ingredient. Don't buy it. The guy who wrote it with ripped me off. Anybody wants it, get to me direct. I'll sort something out. And but that was an amazing experience. I got Jude Law to write the foreword for me.
I mean, he's telling me all this as I'm writing my book, basically to get it published 10 years later. He's like, publishing sucks. However, Jude Law. I was like, what are you trying to discourage me?
I figured his name would sell more than mine. So.
I mean, Jude Law.
Yeah, nice guy. He's a nice guy. And yeah, so we produced the book in 2008, and then since then I worked in Australia for a year. I worked in New Zealand for a year. I'm putting pen to paper on my second book. It's taken me time. I went to Cuba for a few weeks after Serbia.
Yeah, so this is like a year and a bit ago.
Yeah, these things take time and wine.
Creative processes.
Yeah, but some of the stories.
Oh my God, your stories.
Rock and roll life of a chef, and inspired by Anthony Bourdain, unfortunately.
Yeah.
The news from yesterday.
I know, we are taping this today as yesterday the very, very sad news of Anthony's passing were made public. And so Paulie and I have been talking about this a little bit since he got in yesterday. It's just it's so shocking.
Yeah, from a man who's gone from drug addiction and alcoholism to getting published, making it in this world, having his TV program, like portraying an awesome life, which we all crave, you know.
Yeah.
I mean, he inspired so many chefs, and we've all gone down that rock and roll life of whatnot, and then for all of a sudden to be found like that, it's a.
And I think it's an important like thing to rest on, because I was saying this to Paulie, is that, you know, when you have that picture perfect life from the outside, and you know, you're doing awesome things and people admire you for basically exactly who you are, because he was sort of very much himself. Like, it wasn't, you know, it's so difficult to be like, actually, what's actually going on, and do we have the right sort of support systems in place for the people in your life who you wouldn't, you know, normally assume are going through difficult times. And I think I'm having a hard time even discussing it, because for me, I don't have a personal experience with depression per se. I have like anxiety and other mental health things to worry about. But for me, it's just so shocking. And it's funny that what you said yesterday about, you know, you always sort of put it down to health. Do you want to say something about that?
Yeah, well, whenever something happens like this, unfortunately in my life, my last boss in England, I was head chef of a little hotel on the edge of Dartmoor, and I got a phone call from his ex-girlfriend one morning saying she'd received a text message from him. And anyhow, I went down to the cowshed and found the man, and he'd taken his head off, and he had everything. Again, you look at it, you know, he had this beautiful hotel, he had a massive farm in the centre of England, you know, and he portrayed that he had everything, the hotel was going well, and then bang, just finished like that. And that had an effect on me as well.
Absolutely.
So, and shortly after that, split up with a relationship of 4.5 years.
Yeah.
Moved back to the parents at 27. Rock and roll life of a chef.
Familiar.
And yeah, I had about myself actually. You know, had a bit of an addiction to diazepam, and didn't tell anyone about it, and drank too much. And 4 months. Just drank, drugs, and then the private chefing, the yacht life kind of came up, working in the private houses, working on the yachts, and that got me out of England, and that's
got you busy.
Got me busy again, and I love my life again, you know.
Yeah.
But again, it's portrayed from that book, you know, like you read the stories, and I've got similar stories to him, and I like to tell a story as well. You do. So it came as a shock yesterday.
Yeah.
But yeah, you just wonder if something's changed in his life, and he's just found out maybe something's not going to plan, you know, not necessarily like relationship or anything, but health wise, and he couldn't deal with it. Yeah. And because he's had such an awesome life, he didn't want it to go down.
Yeah, I mean, we can only make assumptions, but it's just so, for me, I think especially, and I'm loving that I'm seeing this sort of as a response of support with regards to the news, is that people are talking about mental health, and also particularly to men. Because I think, and I've said this in many episodes before, as women, we are more socially constructed to share our feelings and, you know that it's okay. And I've so many times called Amy being like, I don't know why I'm crying. I'm having such a shit day. And you know, that's okay for me to do. Whereas for you, as a man who's been sort of, and especially you, I mean, I know a little bit about how, like, you've been raised and stuff. And it's like, tough up, like, you know, proper lad, blah, blah, blah. Where do you find an outlet for actual feelings? Or
it's hard, and that's the biggest thing. The biggest thing is talking about it, you know. Yeah. Like when I obviously when I found my boss, I was in a state of shock, and then the weeks after that was 2 bottles of gin a night. You know, it was. I spoke to my dad a little bit about it, but never really opened up enough. It took a good few months for me to do that, and then I actually took a job in Val d'Isere in the mountains. Yeah. And my best mate now, we met 6 years ago, and I just told him, I says, oh mate, this has happened in my life, just keep an eye on me in case I drink too much. Yeah. And he's solid, you know, my mate Chris, he's had my back ever since, so now I can say anything to him, you know, me and him, we own a house together now. It's a bromance. It's a bromance.
Hi, Chris. No, but you need that. You need that in your life, regardless of who it is. You know, like if it was your dad, if it was Chris, if it was me, if it was, you know, whoever it might be. But you absolutely need those people, because that's when things get overwhelming, is when you don't have perspective. And when you're dealing with your own shit, you never have perspective.
Yeah.
Because it's happening to you.
Yeah. Yeah, that's it. Like, again, like working on the yachts, you know, you're traveling all these beautiful places, all this money. I've driven Ferraris, Lamborghinis, flown in private jets. But there's times when you you just need to talk to someone, and it's good to pick up that phone. And like I say, I'll call Chris and I'll tell him anything.
Yeah.
About my roaring love life.
Ooh. Yeah. Well, I mean, it's hard because, like, I think especially when you do things that are unconventional, let's call them, or like you travel a lot and stuff, it's lonely. Like, you see a lot of people, like you're never alone.
Yeah.
But it's super lonely because you're the only one who's going through that. Like, basically you're doing all of it on your own, which is awesome. Like, I love the independence and the sort of freedom that you can do anything you want. You don't have to ask anyone else for, you know, what would you like to do, or who would you like to talk to, or where would you like to stay, all of that. But at the same time, at the end of the day, if you don't have like someone at the end of the phone or even in real life, it's just like, it's the thing that I was saying when people are like, oh my God, your life looks so jet set lately. Like, because Paulie's the person thanks to whom I have a picture like drinking Dom Perignon on a yacht. So like that was thanks to Paulie. And I'm like, yeah, but that took like both Paulie and I being hungover as shit at like 10 in the morning. We're like, oh, do we have to do this? Like, we're so tired, but let's rock on and whatever. Which was great. We had a fantastic day.
We did.
But the befores and the afters, like the lonely drives to the airport, or like last night you waiting for 3.5 hours for your flight. You're just like, what the fuck am I doing? And so... yeah, I've always known that the book and the podcast is important because we need to talk more about things, like more openly, and we make a healthier society. But this is the crux of why it's so freaking important to share.
Yeah, definitely. And that's it. Like you said, like living the jet set life, and everybody thinks your life is awesome. You know, sometimes you look at people who are at home. Yeah. You know, with the wife and kid and the mortgage, and like, that's a bit of structure. No, I'm going to go to Cuba for a few weeks.
Yeah. I mean, because you and I would obviously be bored shitless if that was the life that we like sort of parachuted in today, because we're used to other things. But at the same time, sometimes you have those moments of like, you see, I don't know if it happens to you, but I see a group of friends like in your hometown or whatever that have known them like each other forever, and they've done everything together, and like they get married at the same time and they have kids at the same time, whatever. I'm like, that's never gonna happen to me. Like, firstly, because my friends already started having kids, so I'm late on that. But I'm like, how cool is that, you know?
Yeah. Again, it's just having that like support
community,
group, community, and that. People share the problems with each other. Yeah,
because we have that, but there's like sprinkled all over the planet.
Yeah,
like you can never sit in one room with everyone.
No, that's it. You wake up in the morning. I'm having a chat with Sophia in Miami at 4:30 in the morning, and she's drinking with Jack. But then I'm also chatting to my mate Aaron in Australia, and I've got a lot of friends everywhere. But it's very hard to have that solid base.
Yeah, and so you need the special people like Chris that you can just call and be like, hey.
Yeah,
I need to talk.
Yeah, and it's important, and everybody needs. You need to express yourself. You know, we live in a world where people look up to the like personas portrayed on Instagram. You know, and how life is beautiful and awesome. Hey, life is beautiful and awesome, but everybody has the down times as well, and you need to share these, because if you don't share them, you wallow more in your own self-pity. Yeah. So. Yeah, it came as a shock, the news yesterday, and obviously the outpour of all like chefs over the world, you know, because he really was inspirational with his words. He was a great writer also. Yeah, phenomenal. And I don't know how many millions of books he sold, but I don't know many chefs who haven't read that. Yeah, exactly. And it's an inspiration for me writing. Yeah. And traveling. For me, because I don't,
the chef part I admire, but because it's not my industry or it's not something that I do, I always saw more of the travel side because that is something that I can relate to. And he's so right, like move, do other things, see other people, meet other cultures, like open up your damn freaking mind. And I think it's sort of, it's interesting to see the double-edged sword of like when you see so much and you know so much, like you need an outlet because you can't just take in all of the information because the world is beautiful and amazing, but it's also like hard and dark and there's horrible shit happening. And so I think like that contrast is what makes it beautiful, but you need to have coping mechanisms to take all that in.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Well, that was it. He was travelling with his best friend, Eric Rippler, another phenomenal chef. And yeah, but that's it. Like with the travel, and that's it. You're always moving everywhere, so it looks phenomenal. Like the BBC came to film me in India.
India, yeah.
And so I was working in India, and it looked beautiful on the TV, But for 3 days, the 3 days we were filmed in Delhi, 17-hour days. Jeez. Okay, I had a car and a driver, and it was all paid for by the BBC, and it wasn't like really work. But still, 3 days like that, the producer was only there for 3 days. I was there for 3 months. So it was all right for me. But it all got narrowed down to 5 minutes. But in between all that filming time, you're just sat there waiting for people to organise everything, and then you've got to snap out of it and be on the camera again. And so it's the celebrity side of things is a very. I think we maybe have a naive understanding of it.
It's a difficult beast, for sure.
Money isn't always everything as well. I've cooked for so many unhappy rich people. I can't tell you through to confidentiality in my contracts. But yeah, wow! I tell you, if I had that much money, I'd be awesome. But no, they're not happy.
And this is the thing. This is why I think he comes as such a shock. Also, these news because he was such an advocate for the Me Too movement, and like he was so freaking clued in on what matters today.
Yeah, and he always expressed himself. He was never shy about saying anything. He was very open-minded. I think one of the greatest episodes I watched was in Vietnam, and they just rolled a joint, and he says right, we're gonna have to stop filming now because apparently I can't smoke this on TV. And then it cuts, and then he comes back on stoned, and it's just like, man, that guy's a lad. He's got the life, and then to hear this, it's like, wow.
I know. I feel for everyone in his family and his support system and his close friends because you see how much we're shocked as just spectators. And I happen to have a lot of chef friends, and my feed yesterday was like people genuinely distraught and shocked at this news. It wasn't like this is a sad day for art or this is a sad day for cooking, it was like genuinely he touched everyone personally. Like everyone had a personal story. And so I think it's beautiful that's his legacy, but it's got to spark this freaking conversation topic because like I'm sick of seeing people not communicate.
Yeah.
Because it is hard to do. I'm not downplaying that I'm not saying it's easy, easy topic to bring up. And I think like you and I have danced around the topic many times without ever like sitting down and going deep into like, so what was your depression like? Like that's not, it's not an easy conversation. But once you do it, like it's such a different world out there. Once you open up that possibility.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, well, that's it. Everybody does need to talk about it more, especially men. I mean, that's it. They always say the suicide rate's between 21 and 40, but Anthony Bourdain was 61.
Yeah.
Top of his game, and still. And Chris Cornell, again, a musician last year.
Yeah.
It can affect anyone at different times, and everyone just needs to be honest. Don't be embarrassed.
Yeah.
Like your love life stories, like your relationship stories, it's just better said, and you learn from it, and you learn from experiences. I've learned so much from traveling the world, from cooking in different countries. I kind of followed his footsteps, working in Cambodia, Thailand, Vietnam, Laos, Malaysia. It's really it's beautiful to do something like that. But when you're doing it by yourself as well, and you're in a foreign country where you don't speak the language, it can be hard.
Yeah.
And you need that's what mates are for.
Exactly. I couldn't agree more. And that's, you know, to go back to sort of what you hinged at with the relationships bit, like, I get that feedback a lot now with the book of like, why did you do that? Like, I want to punch you in the face for that stupid decision that you've done. And I'm like, yes, but this is exactly why I'm sharing it, because we make stupid fucking decisions. We make massive mistakes. But like, if we don't own up to them, it's going to look like, you know, you're just presenting this image that isn't you. Like, yeah, I look, you know, whatever you want to assign to me, strong, blah, 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 blah. I was a weak little thing that was completely blind to her own well-being for like an amount of time, and I made some shitty decisions. And let's address the fact that I made those decisions. That's what being a human is. Like, there's no, like, the embarrassment of that isn't there for me. I'm just like, yep, right, I own it now. Like,
yeah, exactly. Once you can laugh at yourself, you laugh at your own stories. You know, it makes it easier as well.
It does.
You know, my first season on a yacht, I just got a big tip from a really nice Argentinian guy. We went out drinking. I ended up in a strip club in Cannes.
Oh my God. I don't think I've heard this story.
Have you not heard this story? Oh,
no.
It's just a strip club. And I've got in there already smashed. And anyhow, before you know it, I'm in this booth and I've got 3 strippers in there. I bought a bottle of Dom Perignon for €960. I didn't even drink it. I'm just pouring it over the girls. I'm
God,
smoking
boy.
a Cuban cigar. I'm loose. Anyhow, as it goes, we were sailing to Montenegro over the next 4 days, and I kept finding receipts. And this night ended up costing me €2,836. Right.
And you remember almost none of it.
Oh yeah, and I was so embarrassed. But then obviously everyone on the yacht was laughing at me because the engineer Kev witnessed it. And you just got to laugh and learn from it, right?
Yeah, you got to be I'm a twat.
So, yeah, you know, that was a ridiculous amount of money, and it's only happened twice since. So I'm joking.
I was like, that wouldn't even surprise me. You're like, I'm getting better at talking about it, so whatever. No, but I mean, that's like material, but I can understand how still like you have this like shit, and especially the context of it being a strip club and like.
Yeah, well, again, you strip it down. You might, well, it was just because I was drunk and horny.
Yeah.
But, you know, you strip it down to, well, it's life on a boat, you know. I've been away for 10 days and you're paying somebody to show you affection. Yeah. But you enjoy it and you know, that's what you crave.
Yeah.
And so that's why you need that partnership in life.
I think that's why I could never work on a yacht.
Yeah, that's why I don't go in strip joints anymore. Just a lonely chef on a yacht at sea now.
Oh my God, but it's a bit of a golden prison, isn't it? Like, you're sort of like, you're living the life, but you're stuck.
Yeah, again, that's it. You know, you put all these pictures out, we all put our smiles on when we're pulling into Saint-Tropez or we're in Porto, but then you've just finished your 17-hour day. You sneak off the boat, you have a cheeky pint, and then you get back into your shared cabin, which is about 3 meters square.
Yeah.
You sleep for 6 hours, and then you get up and do it again. And it funds the life that I live.
Yeah.
And it gives me plenty of time off and plenty of experiences. But when you're living that cramped and you're working that hard, again, it gets people down, you know. And some days you got to look at the crew and just think, oh, you know what, I'm just going to let you have space today because you're in a bad place.
Yeah.
You know, and I've had arguments about putting glasses in the dishwasher the wrong way. Yeah. And I had a full-blown argument with a girl for 5 minutes. A friend of mine, Amanda, a good friend. And then at the end of the night, we sat back, had a glass of wine and laughed because we were raging at each other about putting glasses in a dishwasher. Yeah. Which is nothing. No,
it's just like the little drop of like, I can't, I'm exhausted. Like, I've got so much fucking shit on my mind. And like, now you're the perfect person to have it out with because you put one glass the wrong way.
That's it. And it's just having that vent, it's having that release. Yeah. And if you don't speak, if you don't talk to people, you say it after the first glass. You don't leave it till the third glass. But
yeah, no, and I think it's a really difficult one because everyone's experience is their own individual experience, obviously. But I think there's something to be said about, you know, the fast-paced world that we live in. It's so freaking easy to sweep something under the rug and move on to something else.
Yeah.
You know, just like constantly bombarded with information, with stimulus, with, you know, you can be like, oh, that never happened, and just move on to the 100 other things that are happening to you. But that thing is there and it's going to stay. And like, unless you address it, it's just going to get bigger and bigger in the background.
Yeah, definitely. And you've got to express yourself. You know, something can happen. Again, in this life, I might have 3 nights with somebody who I've got a lot of time for, and then I don't see them for a few months.
Yeah.
You know, nobody wants a text relationship.
Oh God, tell me about it.
But it happens. And again, why don't we talk anymore? Again, we hide behind text messages.
Yeah.
Why don't we just make that phone call?
Oh my God, and like now you have to text someone like, can I call you?
Yeah. Is it good for me to call? No, just call them, and if they don't answer, they're not ignoring you, they just can't answer their phone.
Yeah.
When was the last time anybody used the phone for a phone call?
I know. Which is why I think it was very funny, because I called you when you were in Poland.
You did?
I just called you and you were like, hey, so nice to, like video called. You're like, so nice to see your face. What are you doing? We had an actual like half an hour talk.
Yeah.
And you were like, thanks for calling. As if I'd like, I don't know, shown up at your door. And I was like, yeah. I don't know why I did that. It wasn't like, oh, I'm going to be active at calling people. I was just like, I wonder what Paulie's doing. And I think that's, like you're saying, it's important to keep doing that, because over text you can rethink your words and like position yourself, and like you have time to sort of, but when you're talking to someone, shit's going to come out.
Yeah.
Like that you didn't plan for. You're just going to say things. And that's the healthy part.
Yeah, and that's it. And that spurs on the conversation. And it's so much nicer talking to someone, you know, than texting. But again, it's that fear. Mm-hmm. You know, we've got this fear of getting it wrong. And, you know, you've got to...
There is no wrong.
There's no wrong, you know. There's good or bad, but there's no right or wrong.
Yeah, exactly. And even the bad is usually like productive.
Yeah.
So
that's normally the funny stuff as well.
Yeah, eventually it is, and that's what I say now. I'm like, oh, funny story. I'm like, it wasn't funny in the moment. Making it funny now because it was a long time ago. Yeah. But in the moment, it's never funny, and so you just, I think there's something to be said about like you were saying, just the ability to just be in trusting someone with just like whatever's going to come out of your mouth in the next 20 minutes. And I think this is why the podcast is nice, because I'm not editing it. Like, we have no idea what we're going to say in about two seconds. But that space of like sharing without calculating, without the filter, without the like, I have no idea what you're going to respond to the next thing I'm going to say, but that's where the exchange really happens. And the more we live with the amazing technology, which lets us, you and I, lead the lives that we live, like, because without our phones, basically we're just two lonely people, like, with very little support. So I'm not shitting on the technology, but it's easy to hide behind it.
Yeah, definitely. And that's why, it's nice just to fly to Geneva for the weekend and come and see you and see Emmy. And it funds the life that I can live.
But even emotionally, like, that's what I mean. Like, you're recharging on something here with me and Amy that you're not going to get on the boat. And vice versa. Like, you have to see all the sort of like different batteries like in your life and see what's low and where you need to recharge. And like, I think that's best done when you have like people. Yeah,
and it's nice to have like your safe friends, people who are not connected to your life as such, like ourselves. We met it on tea, but you've never been at your tea, you've never been part of it. Obviously, we've got so many of the same friends and whatnot, but you
can tell me things that you wouldn't necessarily say to someone who's in your industry.
Yeah, exactly, and we can just relax and have a laugh and
and be ourselves.
And just embarrass ourselves in Serbia, but it's fine because nobody knows.
Exactly. And I think that it's funny because, you know, you have people that you like in your life, but you can't trust yourself in every aspect, whereas you and I are just as ridiculous, so that you're like, oh my God, I did this super embarrassing thing the other day, and I'll be like, let me raise you. Another story. And so it's nice to find your tribe wherever they are, like, and just stick to what feels good. And I think that's why we had such a laugh, because you and I were like, when we were in Serbia, we put up pictures of each other. And I was like, who's this guy? Are you dating someone? Because we were just like, lovely romantic getaway, like so confident and not giving a fuck of what we were portraying. And like your mates being like, who's the girl?
Who's the girl? What?
You're honeymooning with someone? And because we just like, that's not the important thing. Like the important thing isn't what it's going to look like or come across or...
No, you like, again, you say, honeymoon, and everybody thinks you're in a relationship.
Yeah.
We're just having a laugh.
Yeah, I'm like, well, I mean, we're pretty much married. This is very like typical sexless marriage that you portray on TV is us.
I've got so many of them.
You're like, when is the sexual one coming?
Not the marriage, just the sex, right?
Meanwhile, I'm sitting here like, I'm kind of fed up with just the sex. It's like opposite end of the spectrum. Like, someone wine and dine me. And then I'm like, where would I put you even if you existed? Like, look at my life. Like, it just... And that's a difficult thing to say also. Because okay, so random aside. Because, like, I'm working on my Instagram and stuff, which is so freaking contradictory to whatever I want to do. But I have to sell books. So I'm doing my best. And then, obviously, sex sells.
Yep.
So I looked at like the stats of like which of my photos are doing better or whatever. It's always the ones where it's me like in a dress or like some like, you know, can pictures or bikini photos. And I'm like, great, the thirst is real. Like, and then you get these like weird direct messages from like horny dudes being like, sup. And I'm like, yeah, I enjoy one night stands. Yes, I love having sex with strangers. Yes, that's cool. But I don't need it. Like, I have enough supply. Thank you. No thanks. Never asked anything from you. Like, that weird line between, like, being overtly, like, yourself and open, and for me, in particular, in a sexual way, I'm just, like, I'm still a person, like, behind it. Like, you still have to, like, be witty and have interesting conversation and whatever. Like, I'm, you know...
Yeah.
I don't understand how we just sort of like boil it down to putting people in certain boxes and then just like run with it. Like, oh, well, because she said that, she must like only want sex. And it's like, I appreciate it. But it's nice when it comes with a person behind it. Like, otherwise I have sex toys. Like, if I'm not interested in conversation, I have other things to do. But this was my random rant of the day. Thanks for listening. But
that was fair.
You're like, I don't get it.
I've never sent a message on Instagram saying sup, but I might do now.
Oh my god, don't. Please don't become one of them.
No.
No, but like, yeah, Paulie's like the perfect husband one day. Hopefully with lots of sex for whoever marries you. But yeah, crazy lives. What can we say next to... We have so many different ways we could go with it.
Yeah, with so many adventures. And, so many more to have as well. I guess I'll be going to Canada before long.
Yeah, you're going to come and see me?
Yeah, I've got a few friends in Canada now, and again, you know...
I mean, it might be the perfect place to write book too, for both of us.
Yeah. It's a year and a half in the making, and I'm still going. I'm pen and paper. I'm doing it on pen and paper this one.
Oh my god. It's so funny. We were in Belgrade and you were like, I'm going to race you to the finish line. I'm like, for book number 2, yeah? Because I won the first one.
Yeah, I'll give you that.
I mean, you published one 10 years ago, so I guess we're like square now.
Yeah, we're on a par now, yeah. Now we're both starting our books at the same time. All right, 3 weeks in Cuba, but I'm 15 pages in, all right?
I could get 15 pages in at some point, and I don't know. I say this, and I've been trying to write a blog post for like 2 months, and I've written like 100 words. But I've got an idea, guys. I'm working on it. It's coming. I've got the idea, which is like half the work.
That's it. Then you just need the wine and the time to write it.
Oh, absolutely. I can't wait to actually not give a fuck about social media or like my stats or like all this shit. I'm just like, can I be like have a full-time job so I can pay someone to do that for me? But yeah, no. I'm excited to see what we both end up writing.
Yeah.
Because these are good. I mean, my first one is very personal, but yours is going to be your first big personal one.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, we kind of got different personal roots. You know, yours is about your sex life and whatnot, and mine's going to be more about drunken drunken stories, really.
I mean, my sex life is basically drunken debauchery.
And but yeah, there's gonna be parts of just parts of my chef life, really, like the way the industry has taken me and what it's perceived. And I mean, I've worked in some hardcore kitchens, 18, 20-hour days. I almost killed myself in a car crash when I was 20. I fell asleep at the steering wheel.
Yeah.
And that was because I was working too hard for one of England's best chefs.
Yeah.
And so it's, again, not trying to copy the Kitchen Confidential route, which will get probably put on me quite a few times.
Yeah.
But it's just, I mean, that book's 20 years old now.
Yeah.
And it's still phenomenal, and I'm not taking anything away from that, but I just want to just put out my experiences and my life, my life and
I don't think you can ever write the same story twice. Like, it's always going to be different. So there's no need to differentiate yourself from that. When people were like telling me like, oh, so what's it like? Is it like Bridget Jonesy, or is it like Carrie Bradshaw-y, or is it like I was like, I don't know. Like, it's Christine-y.
It's just me. It's just me putting words down,
And so you make, you put whatever label you want on it, and that's people's, right to say and do whatever they want with the stuff you put out for them. But I think it's important that we all share, and I think that I'm seeing the trend. Like, there's a lot more biopics made in movies. Like, we want real stories.
Yeah.
Because everything is fake.
Yeah, that's
like,
it.
When life was real in the 50s, 60s, 70s, you wanted to escape with some fantasy movies. Now you're just like, I don't know what's real anymore. Kim Kardashian's in the White House with fucking Trump. What is real life?
Yeah. What's going on there, right? And just people just want to read about some
normal dude,
getting drunk
and not knowing what the fuck we're doing, so you can be like, me too.
Jumping on a plane to Serbia or
whatever it be.
Go to Cuba. Just random bits of life, but that's the fun. The random choices they do, the love stories we try and chase. We think.
Yeah. Oh my God.
We think it's got a romantic ending, and then your car crash. A few times. Not a few times.
A lot of times. I mean, I'm no better.
But I'm good at cooking, so I'll stick to my cooking.
He's great at cooking. If you ever get the chance to eat where Paulie's making food, you're in for a treat. I mean, I wouldn't have ever tasted your food if it wasn't for Amy. Amy, whom you know by now, was gutsy enough to be like, you're a chef, you're cooking at Christine's house tomorrow. And Paulie was like, I guess I'm cooking at Christine's house tomorrow.
And that just,
I mean, I would never have the balls to say that. That's an Amy thing.
Yeah, I've got to be honest there. I haven't cooked for many of my friends.
Right? You just need that.
She just came out with it, so I was like, shit, I've got to impress now as well, I'm not just cooking, I'm going for
well.
it.
We had some wonderful duck. It was amazing.
So.
But it's crazy. Like, I think whatever is happening or whatever you're doing with your life, like, that's, for me, that's the bottom line of you and I's friendship also, is like, we're just trial and erroring it. Like, we don't have a plan. Or we do. Like, we plan things. Like, you bought a house, like, you're investing, like, you have a plan, and I'm going to Canada and I have a bit of a plan. Mm-hmm. But the plan's it's just there for a basic direction.
Everyone's like, you should buy a house now. Okay, all right, I'll buy a house. Probably not going to live in it much. But
you're sort of planning ahead. Like, we're not people who are like, tomorrow's not going to happen, or like, we still like are looking towards a quite uncertain but like very much there future. And so I think it's important to know and to repeat like openly that none of us know what the fuck we're doing.
Yeah.
None of us think we're experts in anything, and you just gotta try.
Yeah, and just take it as an open book, and hey, life is about the stories,
Yeah.
You want to tell somebody else's grandkids.
Yeah, in your case, I mean, maybe we'll have grandkids one day. We make it. Tell our nieces and nephews.
but it's all about the stories and the travel. It's not about the material stuff.
No.
It's about the experiences and the stories and the laughs. And I mean, how many countries have we had a drink in now? France, Switzerland, Serbia. You've never been to England, but that's fine because I'm never there.
I've been to England, but not with you. But I mean, I think we're gonna keep doing that in random places, and that's the sort of beauty of it. And I know it's a privileged position because we have the opportunity to travel a lot, which not everyone does. But I encourage you, it's not that freaking hard. Like, I worked for 2 years, managed to save some money, decided to sell all my belongings. Like, I'm not like, it's doable. It's a hard thing to do, but it's doable. It doesn't take that much to just get out of your comfort zone. You don't have to go to fucking Vietnam or whatever, depending on if that's close or far to wherever you are. But like, just leave where you are. Go to the next town, go to the next state, go to the next country.
Just walk into a bar.
Yeah.
And talk to somebody.
Oh my God, yes, even in your hometown.
Don't sit on your phone if you're sat by yourself. Just talk to someone.
Yeah, that's I think our thing we have in common from the beginning is that I was telling Paulie actually envied. That's the one thing I envy guys for. It's a lot easier to walk into a bar and talk to a stranger.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it's easy for me to talk to a stranger, but I just don't have the same experience coming back at me. Like a girl sitting alone at a bar doesn't quite have the same ring as a dude like watching sports on telly. But do it anyway.
Yeah.
Do it anyway. Do it somewhere you feel safe and talk to the bartender.
Yeah, that's it. You talk and you've done all this traveling, you've got all these random stories, all these experiences, just share them, just talk about them. When you're talking to somebody random, you can, I'm not saying you portray your life how you want it to be, but they don't have to know your dark times, You can just talk to them.
You can have a frivolous, random and see what the stranger comes back. And usually, actually, funny enough, the people that you meet like that and you're like, oh, I'm just going to have a sort of superficial chat with someone and have a good laugh. For some reason, those end up the realest conversations. I don't know if that happens to you, but you end up like sharing your heart. So this is why I'm emotionally fucked up since I was 5 years old.
Because they don't know anyone in your life. You can be like, this girl, she really got me, and they're like, oh, why? And then you can, and then they can express their thoughts on it, and you're like, actually, that's an outsider looking in. Whereas if you talk to your friends about it,
you have more stuff to deal with because they'll have that information on you for a while. So that's like a bigger trust leap. Yeah. But like a stranger in a bar.
Yeah, go meet a stranger in a bar. Tell them about your love life if you've got one.
Or the lack of it. Or the lack
of it. And just meet people. Just have a good time. The best times is when I travel by myself.
Me too.
When I was in Australia and I was skint, I had $96 left in my pocket, and I'm living in a hostel. And these four Swedish girls came into the social room of the hostel, and they said, does anybody want to come grape picking? And they need to have a driver's license. I was like, oh yeah, I can do that. So we hired a car. I drove them there. And the guy who owned the vineyard, I started talking to him. The girls were picking the grapes. Me and him, we were pressing it. We were bottling it. I was cooking on the barbecue because I didn't have enough money to buy my own food. They all went with packed lunches. Ended up staying there for a week. I had a great time. Learned a lot from this guy. He funded my travel, which got me to my next job. And some of the best times are when you don't have money as well. And you just talk to these random people.
Well, you have to be creative when you don't have money.
Yeah. I'll be honest with you. I went on the journey thinking, right, there's 4 Swedish girls in the car. I'm surely going to get one of them.
Nothing can go wrong.
Yeah. Nothing worked out, but I met a mate who owns a vineyard in Australia now, so... Yeah, but he's about 70 now, but hey, it's still free wine when I go.
Yeah, exactly. But I think that's the crux of it. It's just like follow your instincts, whatever they are, and they'll lead you to something completely different than you expected. But it's just I think that's the riches is the stories, and I think that's like a good place to wrap it up for today.
Yes, let's go make some more stories.
Yeah, exactly. We're gonna go get out and have a few drinks in a positive way this time. And basically, thanks so much for chatting with us.
Yeah, no, it's been a pleasure.
It's been great. And if you guys, should we link them to your social media so they can check out your crazy Instagram?
Yeah, go for it. Yeah, I'm not the biggest on it, but
he sucks, but you'll have a good laugh. And if you need anyone to talk, I'll be adding all kinds of links for resources for mental health at the bottom of this episode. If you need someone to talk to, reach out. I'm happy to talk. I am easily reachable because I am on my social media all the fucking time, at ChristineWild _ on both Twitter and Instagram. We see you. We love you. Life is fucking amazing. Stick around.
Cool. Thank you, Christine.
Speak to you guys next week. Bye.
The podcast you just heard was published with Anchor. Got something you want to say to the creator of this show? Send them a voice message using the Anchor app, free for iOS and Android.